1984, 2024. We've been there before. I thought we'd close that door, but George Orwell said it well. Without love, we'll live in our own hell. In our own hell. Well, welcome to the Fresh Toones Show. My name is Dave Holtz. As you might guess from that song that I opened the show with, 1984, 2024, this show might have a little bit more edge than last week's show, which was called The Big Love Playlist. The title of this week's show is called The Broken Compass Poems. Now, in today's show, I thought I might take a different approach and share some of my songful poems that aren't always sweet. This first poem was inspired by what we see happening in Minneapolis today. It's called The Night the Lights Went Out.
Thanks to the folks who led the way. Thanks to the folks, let us thank them every day.
The night the lights went out, we whispered in the dark, tried to sway away our fears as we stumbled by the graves, until we joined in hand and found our strength again. We raised our clasped hands high, and our love became the light. Well, I should have mentioned that I did a video to that song, and in the video I opened up with me singing with a group of after-school kids that we did an animation for. So that's why the kids were in there singing before the record scratched and all hell broke loose as I read the poem. I guess at the end I added a kind of hopeful message in there that by putting in mass demonstration where the people joined in with singing This Land. Kind of leads into the next poem that I'm going to share with you. And it's called 7 Million. And it's about all the people that came out on No King's Day to express the anger that they felt for what was going on in their country. This poem is called 7 Million Spoke. 7 million raised their voice, and he tore down their house. They did the No King's dance, and he dumped right in their laps. 7 million took to the streets, and he stomped on their feet. 7 million gave a gasp, and he screamed, "That one's your last." With millions dazed in his grasp, they forgot the wars of past, when heroes fought and died against kings and czars and overlords. There is yet a fight to come. Will free people overcome? This next poem will be pretty clear. It's called Despicable. It's despicable how he mocked the disabled, but still they supported. It's despicable how he belittled a war hero, but still they supported. It's despicable how he bragged of sexual assault, but still they supported. It's despicable how he praised vicious tyrants, but still they supported. It's despicable how he betrayed longtime allies, but still they supported. It's despicable how he pardoned those who attacked police, but still they supported. It's despicable how the list goes on, but worst of all, they still support him. Yeah, there's a lot of despicable behavior being put out there. It'll be up to the American people to start to say something different that'll overcome that stuff. Ever since the Reagan years, we've been hearing about the promise of trickle-down economics and how we just need to give bigger tax cuts to the rich and the oil companies, and eventually it'll trickle down, and boy, how good things will be. Well, ever since those 1980s, things have been going downhill for the middle class. And this poem was once again inspired by the big, beautiful bill that was passed in Congress, giving those big tax cuts and cutting the things that so many people depend on. This poem is called Trickle Down. Like sludge within the cesspool, great evil trickles down. It falls on those below it and curses everyone. With hands outstretched they waited for rewards that never came. The trickle down a laugh line, their palms now filled with mud. Doesn't matter how much they cried out, the king just gave them more. More lies there to distract them, lost souls confused in chord. Many times the words were spoken, trickle down is the way to go. But time and time and time again, they just laughed and slammed the door. Well, one of the first things that Trump and Elon Musk did when they got in control, they cut right out of there that wasn't necessary so we could get those bigger tax cuts. It was U.S. aid sent all around the world to help people that are in dire straits of starving. Well, in this dog-eat-dog world, it all makes sense to Trump and Elon Musk that some of the children have to starve to death, and we have nothing to do with that, so we're going to save some money and watch them die. I don't like to be so harsh, but that's what's going on. This poem is called Hungry Children. Hungry children with empty bowls, a world of riches with hearts grown cold, with prayers for God to save their souls. No answers come, more bombs are sold. Our days are full, what can we do? We close our eyes, but light leaks through. Give those in need with love from you. Send them the food. Peace be with you. Since I mentioned Donald Trump and Elon Musk before the last poem, I thought this would be a good time to share this poem of mine called The Sham Man and Ollie. Oligarch was a thief. He lived up on the hill. He spent his days counting coins, could never get his fill. Shaman was his partner. With crime they did fortune. Sold slogans, worthless trinkets, amused by those who lose. Together they were quite a pair. They bought a country's soul. They'd baffle with their antics, fed the crowds and sent them home. And when the shelves were empty, with shock they would exclaim, I'm innocent, someone else is all the blame. Yep, Ollie the oligarch was able to spend $250 million to help put Trump in the White House. I think the even bigger thing that's hard to believe is how many people have jumped on the Trump train and are willing to sell out their country to get some power and put the wrong kind of people in their place. You know, get rid of the woke stuff, the DEI, and they think they're having a party now, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come to an end. This poem is called The Magus Inn. There were Magists in the Senate, there were Magists in the House, there were Magists in the courthouse, and they scurried all about. Blind mice who sought their rescue took their guidance from a rat. Like cultists from the 30s, they soon craved for what they'd lost. When we see and hear so much hatred being bantered about, we know all too well where that all could end up. I'm going to break up reading some of the poems that I've written today and play a song that came out of a poem, and it's called Auschwitz Didn't Fall from the Sky. Auschwitz didn't fall from the sky. It came from inside. Evil climbs inch by inch. The shadows march step by step, with gardens overgrowing from lies that were told. If love is strangled out, what's it all about? Those who take the king's invite to kill the ones that they call them will find themselves buried beneath the walls of hate that cannot stand. The battle continues. It's simply up to us to raise our voices, to share our love. Join in and sing. Today's our day. Hallelujah, together we can find a better way. We can find a better way. We can find a better way. Yeah, I think we can find a better way. But one of the big things that's going to need to happen if we want to keep our democracy, we can't have a third of the legal voters not voting. The last election, there were 90 million people that for whatever reason couldn't make a choice between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Just in the words they use and their attitude, and it seemed like a pretty simple decision. People came out in 2020 and made that decision, which I thought was the better decision. No candidate is perfect, but if we don't come out and vote, we're going to lose that right. This poem is called 90 Million, and it's bringing attention to the 90 million people that didn't vote in 2024. That could have made a hell of a lot of difference of where we stand today in this country. 90 million. 90 million couldn't take the time. 90 million couldn't make up their minds. 90 million could see no difference. 90 million wish they had listened. 90 million say, don't blame me. 90 million still can't see. 90 million say, I'm just one. 90 million quib, what's done is done. 90 plus regret what's now seen. 90 plus cry out, someone fix it please. 90 plus, best look no nearer. 90 plus, should check the mirror. Well, as everybody around Donald Trump realizes, he's a bully, and I wrote this poem called The Bully's Disguise. The bully's disguise puffs up, then he hides. True coward he be, when confronted weak-kneed. His spine's surely less, but he'll never confess. He'll betray anyone and laugh just for fun. A virus he be, spouts hate when he speaks. He mocks others called wimpy, then cries out, they deceived me. Pathetic and spoiled, a nation left soiled. His abject denials should have brought trial. He deserted good practice, preferred shady rackets, repeating big lies, the bully's disguise. Since we're rolling along here with poems dedicated to Donald Trump, I'd like to share this one with you. It's called Golden Mouth. The golden mouth showered lies upon the people, which gave license to mass their loathsome creeds. The author resided in their hearts concealed. Their true gold ideas had been fleeced and undone. A golden calf was erected, and they called him their hero. But as they found out, he was much more like Nero. He laughed, clapped his hands as the windows were broken, and the temple was shaken, but the bedrock withstood him. His disciples were up to their necks with blame. They ran to his side pleading, "Save us! Come please!" But his family and tools launched their life yachts to leave, packed up all their loot, and pushed off to plunder new seas. You're listening to the Fresh Toones Show, and the title of today's show is called The Broken Compass Poems. So I've been getting into some pretty heavy political statements here, and since I mentioned Nero in the last poem, I'm going to share a song with you that came out of a poem called Reborn Nero.
A golden mouth showered the people with the lies they desired, in which their hearts were mired. His hate fueled the fire. A golden calf was built. They called him their hero. They smashed the windows in, and he laughed like a reborn Nero, Nero, Nero. The temple was shaken, but the bedrock did withstand. His disciples said we knew nothing, but anyone with eyes can see. And the golden calf was built, and they call him their hero. And they smashed the windows in, and he laughed like a reborn Nero, Nero, Nero. The Confederates ran to his side, pleading, "Save us, please." But his family launched the life yacht, packed up their loot, set off to sea, and the golden calf ran off. He wasn't much of a hero. He's plundering new seas, and he's smiling like a Nero, Nero, Nero.
Well, these times are pretty scary when we see half of the leadership, the GOP basically, going along with Trump. We have a lot to be concerned with. This poem is called To Guide, Not Hide. Some with zeal would hope to conceal a past we need to admit to heal. The scraggy men that hold out from fear, who take us down, path unclear.
DonaldJTrump.com. Go tonight, give the president some money.
They swear allegiance to a vanquished flag, their drug of choice, their poison skag. They would have us all to forget ideas that made us proud to live. Those to respect and to commit, with pious prayers we strive to give. Our hopes some days can come to fail. Pray give us strength. Let love prevail. Well, we were able to survive COVID with Trump as president. And then we had to sit and watch January 6th, which was a love fest, as Trump would say. But somehow this guy still got elected, and now we're living the biggest nightmare ever. I guess as king, a good name for him would be Infidious Covidius. Covidius to feed his hunger, scrounged in search of tasty souls. He used his mighty nostrils to sniff out the scared and old. He stalked to find the feeble, heard commotion from not far. A darkened cave invited, come pray and feast and chow. He marched into the dimness, licked his chops for what he saw. A throng on knees well calloused, clutched his robe and wouldn't let go. Ready for their sacrifice, they begged and offered up. Please give us all the answers, we'll gladly serve your lust. Their hallowed wolf obliged them, and devoured what was left of a brain that had forgotten, that once had thoughts of love. Well, there's an awful lot of folks that are going to be charged with blame for what they've taken part of working with Trump. This poem is called Charged with Blame. Those who cross the Rubicon obligate themselves to take the responsibility. The onus lies with them. Don't take your burdens lightly. They'll bond to your shamed name. The safeguards that you trampled will leave you charged with blame. Your shoulders will weigh heavy from the crimes that you endorsed. You've climbed an ugly ladder that's left you no recourse. Well, most of the time I end up writing a song that kind of evolves out of the poem. And I'm going to play a little introduction by Liz Cheney on what she feels about people that are going to take responsibility for their behavior. I don't often agree with what she has to say, but she was right on the mark with her comments about January 6th and the events following shortly after that. This is the song version of Charged with Blame.
In the country, we don't swear an oath to an individual or a political party. We take our oath to defend the United States Constitution. And that oath must mean something. Tonight, I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the indefensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your dishonor will remain. As Americans, we all have a duty to ensure that what happened on January 6th never happens again, to set aside partisan battles, to stand together to perpetuate and preserve our great republic.
Now you've crossed the river, and onus is her name. You've overstepped the boundaries, but your bleedings are insane. Don't take your burdens lightly, they're bound to your shamed name. Safeguards that you trampled will leave you charged with blame. Charged with blame. Your shoulders will weigh heavy from the crimes that you endorsed. You've climbed an ugly ladder that's left you no recourse. That's left you no recourse. That's left you no recourse. You point your hands to heaven and pray for a reprieve, but history will not look kindly on the ruins that you leave. That you leave. Don't take your burdens lightly,
They'll bond to your shame name. Safeguards that you trampled will leave you charred with blame. Charred with blame. Charred with blame. And charred with blame.
Well, it's time to wrap up today's show. I hope the Broken Compass poems were clear and express some of the frustration that a lot of us are feeling. I'm going to end up today's show with a poem that I just wrote before I started recording this show. It's called Me, and that's capital M, capital E, and it tries to capture some of the narcissistic behavior that we see coming out of the White House. Me. Don't believe what you see. Don't believe what you hear. Just believe in me. Toss aside your common sense. Toss aside and be like me. You've lost your soul, but now you're free. No thoughts confuse, you're just like me. Regifted trophies are my pride, each one in trade from juicy bribes. No thing can stop the con in me, only my perfect morality. Come bend the knee and sing your praise. King Donnie's hate is now your way. Well, that's it for the Fresh Toones Show this week. I hope everybody has a good week and fights the good fight. Do your best to contribute to what you feel is right. That's all we can do. I'm going to wrap up today's show with a recording from the protesters against ICE singing This Land.
That endless skyway, I saw below.